This tutorial video covers prerequisites for the installation of Spectre 360. We're going to utilize this checklist to walk through the various steps necessary to configure our system before installing Spectre 360. We'll start by going to Start, right-clicking on Computer or My Computer, and selecting Properties for the machine we want to install the Spectre 360 server components on. By doing this, we can easily see the basic information about our machine, the operating system, as well as the processor information, how much RAM is installed, and if it's a 64 or 32-bit operating system. We can install Spectre 360 on a Windows Vista machine or newer. We also recommend at least 4 gigs of RAM for the Spectre 360 server component. Next, we want to make sure that this machine has completed all its Windows updates. Selecting Start, Windows Update will allow us to check for updates and allow the update process to run until there are no more available updates for our system. Once we've completed this, we can check off Step 1. We can move on to Step 2, which is verifying that the file system is compatible with the Spectre 360 application. We want to look for the Ntfs file system format on the drive we're installing Spectre 360 to. We can select Windows Explorer from the taskbar, choose My Computer, see a list of drives, right-click on the drive you are deploying the application to, and select Properties. In most installations, this will be the C or D drive. We can see the file system format. We also can see the available free space. Spectre 360 requires 60 gigs of free space after all updates are complete. This will allow us to check off Step 2 as well as Step 3, confirming that we have at least 60 gigs of free space on our target machine. Once we've gone ahead and checked the first 3 steps off, we can move on to Step 4, which is to verify that our machine is using a static IP address. This is important for our Spectre 360 clients to report data back to the server. We can do this by selecting Start, Run, and typing in ncpa.cpl. This is a quick way for us to access our network adapter properties. We then want to select the local area connection for our machine by right-clicking it and selecting Properties. Generally, we will select Internet Protocol version 4, choose Properties. When we do this, we want to select the second option to use the following IP address and go ahead and input the appropriate information. If you're unsure of your static IP address, you should consult with your IT provider. It is possible to utilize a DHCP address if it's reserved within your pool. So we can check off Step 4 and move on to Step 5, which is to verify there are no existing instances of SQL already on our target machine. We don't want our installer to interfere with existing SQL instances. If we do Start, Run, type in services.msc, this will allow us to look directly into the services running on the machine and look for any SQL services possibly running. Within our list of services, we want to scroll down to all services that start with S and see if any services that look like this are in fact there. Another way of doing this is to go into your programs by browsing the Start Control Panel, looking in Programs, Add Remove Programs. Within our program list, if you see any Microsoft SQL Server entries, chances are you're already running SQL, and you should consider installing Spectre 360 on an alternate box. Now we can move on to step 6, which is an important step, which is to verify that our antivirus exclusions are in place. There are many different antivirus providers. You should consult your antivirus provider or the documentation they provide for specific steps on adding exclusions. In this example, utilizing Microsoft Security Essentials, I'm going to demonstrate adding the appropriate files and folders for Spectre 360 into the exclusion list. This is done through Security Essentials by selecting the Settings tab, selecting the Excluded Files and Locations option, and inputting in the appropriate files and folders. Another recommendation is to simply disable real-time protection with your AV until the Spectre 360 installation is complete, which is what I've done here. Before I re-enable it, of course, I want to go ahead and add my excluded files and locations. Specific files and locations for the Spectre 360 application are available within the deployment guide. If you make note of the bit.ly link here on the screen, this will take you to specific information on the Spectre 360 exclusions. If we were finished installing, we could then re-enable the real-time protection. The seventh step in our process is to ensure that Windows Defender or Security Essentials, once again, doesn't interfere with our recording process. Checking for Windows Defender is fairly simple. On one of our client machines, we want to simply select Start, type in Run, then go ahead and type in services.msc once again. Within our services, we can scroll down and easily find Windows Defender underneath the services that start with W. There we see Windows Defender. We can right-click on that service, view the properties of the service, and disable it. This does require administrative rights on any machine where you are manipulating this startup type. Now there are other methods to doing this, such as through group policy. In small business scenarios, you may be doing this locally on each machine. That brings us to step 8, which is to verify that the application ports for Spectre 360 are unrestricted and available. One way of testing that the Spectre 360 ports are available is through Telnet. Now, Telnet is a feature that needs to be enabled within the operating system. If you go to Start, type in CMD underneath Run, it'll launch the command prompt. Use these bit.ly links for more information on enabling Telnet and what ports Spectre 360 uses. In order to test, you would simply type in Telnet command followed by the host you're testing with and then the port number itself and hit enter. If you get a blinking cursor, once you hit enter at this point, then you know the connectivity is there. Moving on to step 9, we also need to make sure that the account that you're logged in with has administrative rights on the client machines. We do this by first and foremost taking a look and seeing if your account is part of the administrators group within the machine. So if you go to Computer and Manage Computer, expand Configuration, Local Users and Groups. Underneath your groups you see your administrators group. You can select that and look at the members of that group. See if your account or your domain account is a member of the local admin group. That ensures that you have the appropriate credentials on the machine to install Spectre 360. Next, you want to reach out to one of the client machines and test that you have administrative rights on those machines as well. You can do this by typing the path of the machine name and the administrative share within the run command and selecting OK. If it brings up the contents of the C drive on that machine, then you know you have administrative rights on those machines. So we verified there that we have both administrative rights on the client machines and the appropriate credentials for deployment. The last step is to simply download the Spectre 360 installation file from the email you receive. Downloading the Spectre 360 installation file does take some time. Once it's complete, you will see the zip file that we're going to extract in order to install the application. You're now ready to install Spectre 360.